my early days when I first started doing pranayama, I used to experiment for 2-3 hours to see what would happen. Sometimes I couldn't do it for 5 minutes, but most times I would do it for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. See, and then slowly pushing it until boom, something would happen. So Udana, which is the mental state, the first one is Talabya, right? Why Kali? Why the tongue? Why do we do this, right? We call it Talabya. Talabya means the vacuum at the top of the roof of the mouth. You know that sound you get from the vacuum? That is what we call Akasha. So what Kali does is cut off my head to the body so that I can become space, Akasha, right? Empty space of my mouth. And by extending the tongue, like Kali, I loosen it so that I can place it in the back of my throat or in the soft tissue in my head, right? So the tongue becomes my tool to open the higher senses, to open the higher centers. And there are 3 main higher centers. The first one is Soma Nadi, which is in the front, right? That where the teeth and the gum meet. This we use as our inner pharmacy, right? So if I have anything wrong with me, I always go there. And there's a mantra to go with it, which is the Rudra mantra. Goraksharagni Om, Goraksharagni Om, Goraksharagni Om is from that. Yeah? Or you can do Tat Purushaya Vidmehe Mahadevaya Dhimahi Tanno Rudra Prachodayat, right? But that's a longer Gayatri mantra, but the real mantra is Goraksharagni Om, which it heals most diseases, most pain quickly, right? But if you do the Talabya first, and you want to hear that loud click of the vacuum unsealing at the top of your mouth. It's like a, and you want to imagine your Kali, and now put the tongue to the front part of your mouth and feel that place there. So this prana is the first prana of healing and power you can have. This releases a soma. So you get a healing energy and a taste of healing comes there, which connects your tongue, third eye, over the head to the Manipura, takes the fire of the Manipura, brings it back up and heals you. So you're creating a circuit between Manipura and your tongue, but over your head. Now taste it again. And imagine a circuit going over your head, down to your Manipura, catching the fire and bringing it back up and healing you. See how the taste changes when you imagine it like that? It starts getting earthier, loses its kind of metallic feel, and then again might get sweeter. So one of the practices I do whenever I want to stay well or I feel my energy going down is I increase my Soma Nadi. And the way to do it is to increase your saliva tremendously in your mouth, right? After clicking, and then put the circuit in play, right? The saliva acts as a transmitter of the prana at the subtle level into all the hormones and cells and glands and everything you need to heal yourself. See, just thinking about it, how many of you are feeling a saliva increasing now? Just the very thought of Soma Nadi increases saliva. See how psychosomatic we are? We just think it and we can heal ourselves. So what is the principle here? That I can heal myself or anybody else just by one thought. But my prana has to be right. See how it works? But it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't come up the whole Talabya process. The Thokar and the Talabya. I wouldn't have come up. Because I've woken up the inner fire, I've brought the powers, I've got it. Now if I do it, and by the way, this can be used to quell hunger, to remove, stick your tongue out of your son, that's it. Stick your tongue out of him. Teach him Talabya, he'll heal everything, But really, I've seen this combined with Goraksha Agni Om, a cold maximum 1 day. Sore throat's gone, body aches gone. Within a day, you'll feel it, but then what a funny teacher you have, Murray, All right, I'm going to teach you how to activate the power of the pituitary gland to heal and to activate mental control over anxiety and everything, right? This is the Soma Nadi, by the way. This is how Soma Nadi works. So the Bhairav Mudra, we did it earlier. You always see these, fierce looking creatures in Nepal, Tibet, Bhutan, right? And this is called the Bhairav Mudra. Right? And so what you're doing is you're taking your Manipura this immediately activates the vagus nerve, serotonin, dopamine, everything goes. But you got to inflate your stomach, the Manipura, like a fire, and then this is called the Bhairav Mudra. Then there's Sheetkari, right? This is very good for healing also, and for cooling the mind down, right? So you can, if you know how to roll your tongue, you can just suck it in with the tongue roll, like that, but I can't do it. So I'm going to do the teeth one. The Sheetkari is the teeth one, where you smile like an idiot still, and you suck it in, the cool air, like an Ujjayi breath, but you suck it in, and then you pour warm liquids down the side. Cool air going up, and warm liquids going down. And if you can roll your tongue, do it. It's even better. Like a sucking. Like a whistling, and then hiss it out like a serpent. Hiss. This thyroid, all the glandular issues, all will be healed just by doing this simple mudra, right? That's it. And if you put your hands above your head now, you'll feel a cool breeze start to come out the top of your head. Now just hold it without breathing and just feel the cool breeze start to come. We call this Sahaj. It means in Sahaj Yoga or Kriya Yoga's earlier name was Sahaj Yoga, which means opening the portal, opening for help. Sahaj, just open. Everything opens. How many of you felt a cooler breeze up here? And if you do it long enough, it starts to blow like a wind. It goes up, Powerful, isn't it? So one of the things that Sheetkari does for you is it prepares you for Bagha. So put the tongue now in the middle of the palate, just in the soft palate. And just breathe in with a slightly open mouth like Ujjayi. And warm liquids going out. So this is the Gaja Lakshmi breath, which means that it attracts good luck. It removes ill fortune. It removes negative karma, negative energy, just by touching the roof of the mouth and doing a slightly open mouth breath and hissing it out. Just the soft palate, gently touching the soft palate. I taught this to Yoko, I don't know if she's here today. And Yoko used it to get airplane seat empty next to her, parking spot. She was just churning them out like nobody's business. She kept doing it. And I think she's still using it to get those things. I said, think for bigger things, you don't have to only get a parking spot, you can get bigger things than that. So if you want an apartment in Pune, put the tongue there and just breathe it, That's how you do it. Wish it, it'll come. Right, Bhavya? Correct. So, why you do this is that it shuts down the anxiety brain. The amygdala? It stops it. So then you're open to cosmic intervention. Because the only reason we are not open to miracles is because we are anxious. So, putting your tongue there, all anxiety stops. So this Udana stuff is very, I would experiment with this for hours if I were you. See what happens. Oh, let me try this. Let me see if I can manifest $10,000. Whoop. See what happens. Who knows? What do you want? 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 Have it, Now, the last one is called the Ujjayi, or we call it Khechari also. Khechari, Ujjayi. Ujjayi is, when you do your slightly open mouth, you do the breathing like this. Like a breathing, rasping breathing that comes in yoga. All of you know how to do that one? So now do a few of those and see. Put the tongue to the roof of the mouth first. Just gently touching the roof of the mouth. And while you're doing it, try and make a rasping sound here. So this Ujjayi breath is called the ocean breath. Yeah? Why? Because you can feel, it's like an ocean sound, like in your mouth. But basically it's about conquering. Ujjayi means over supreme conquering, right? Here I conquer all my pranic senses, all my being. Ujjayi, right? I wake up the Kriya. Just by touching the tongue to the roof of the mouth, Bagha, and breathing. Whenever Yogananda wanted to make money or attract students that he needed, he would do this breath. Whenever he wanted to learn something new, he would do this breath. This is a known breath in yogic traditions of wish fulfillment, of it's like called the ocean breath. You are now no more just a little puny body. You are now the ocean of consciousness. Jnana Sagara. You are the ocean of wisdom. Then you push the tongue further back to the uvula and the back palate. That is called Khechari. And Khechari means, literally, this is literal Sanskrit translation, means K space Chari walker. Skywalker. This is where Joseph Campbell, they got it from, George Lucas. Luke Skywalker came from here. Skywalker, the Skywalker, space walking. And I put this picture here because if you do Khechari right, it begins to swirl like this into a star around your head. You begin to swirl, We call it the swirling of the yoginis. But it's basically, they start to move energy and then it becomes a star and then it becomes a round object and you can go into it. So what does Khechari do, right? The yogic theory is that this soft palate here, called the fontanelle, right there, is the bridge to the secrets of immortality. Shiva, Shakti, Lakshmi, all Mahalakshmi, all here, right? And if I can open this, like an old serpent used to have the third eye looking up, if I can open this, the nectar of immortality pours into me and then I become the pranic being. I'm no more little me, I'm pranic super being, And so the whole outcome of pranayama is to achieve that state of the nectar of immortality, right? And that doesn't give you immortality of the physical kind. That gives you a knowledge of the void, of the infinite immortality that you're staring into, right? That's what you're looking for. Because if you are at that level of pranayama, like we said in the beginning, then you and every particle are one. There is no difference between you and the wind blowing, the trees, the pollen, the earth, the stars. You become one. Because you have now become prana. So when you become prana, there is no more you. So therefore, you can't die. See how it works? When you and every dust particle in the universe are one, what is going to die? Oh, this me that thinks it's me? I'll just become dust, I'll just become particles, I'll become everything, I'll just go. And not only that, I have the whole consciousness of the whole thing. Ooh. So that's what Khechari teaches us, is that I can taste that nectar and then it activates my heart and I realize my immortal bliss. And that's the whole purpose, right? So it's a very simple breath. It's the same breath, but you just roll the tongue back and you breathe in with the Ujjayi. And then let it, warm liquids pouring down. So I want you to, if you want, you can push your tongue back and taste the back and you'll begin to taste a sweet, nectary taste. And the more you relax your tongue, the more the tongue will just naturally stay back there and you can just keep that taste going and keep it going. Now the ultimate Khechari is that you want to push it back up to the nasal cavity, right up, right? So the tongue goes flat against the back of the mouth, right? And that, I've done it with push. I've never been able to do it naturally, but I can get into the back of the throat naturally. But then to go completely flat which is what I've tasted what it's like. It is like an instant rushing down of nectar starts pouring, and then it hits you, and you just feel this immense vibration, It's quite something. Now, you don't have to do the Jyoti Mudra, because that is enough for pranayama, right? That's enough. You have accessed the gateways to immortality. What more do you want? In some schools in India, Nath Sampradaya schools, they cut the phlegms, the phylum here, so that they can push the tongue back and keep it there. Right? So then, because if you leave it, it'll grow back. So they cut it regularly and push it back and just keep it there. And many yogis just sit like that with it there all the time. It's an extreme school, but it's you can see the temptation to try it, right? You can see it. Total wellness, a sense of immortality, vitality. But you can get it with the Soma and the Bagha. You don't need that. And just Uvara will do it for you. But if you want to push it, why not? So the last state, I'm not going to do it today because there's no need, is the Jyoti Mudra, which is the inner flame, the inner light, and if you do certain practices, you'll get a blue star. If you do certain practices, you'll get the goddess. We get the goddess in my work, so that's because we use the mantras to get there. But I'm not going to do it today, there's no need. But basically, the theory is that once you crack open the Bindu in the soft tissue, a nectar begins to drip down you, called the Amrita Bindu, right? It's like honey coming into you, right? And they describe it as honey. And the sun is in the navel and the moon is in the head. The nectar that comes is consumed by the sun, and the life force is gradually used up in this way. So the whole idea is to slow down the process of burning this up, right? The moon is the Bindu chakra and the sun the Manipura chakra, because the nectar from the Bindu chakra is constantly being destroyed in the fire of the Manipura chakra. Our body is susceptible to illness and continues to deteriorate with advancing age. So the whole theory of this level of pranayama is to make life vital, long and full. And if you're able to do it, by the way, there are no rules of celibacy in this, no rules of, monastic living, none. Most of the sadhus who practiced this had consorts and wives or partners and lovers who were also yoginis, right? So that's not the case that it was ever a kind of, celibate monastic thing that it became later, right? That was never the case. Shiva and Parvati lived happily together up there, doing the yoga together, right? And they did it together, so there was union also. So it was not a case of, you have to do this and give up that. The school of semen retention came from the Nath Sampradaya much later, right? Because it was a masculine thing. It's no different from today. Young people men would masturbate all the time, or have homosexual sex all the time, and they were burning up all their, stupidity that way. So they were trying to control it. So it became a kind of, but the semen retention conversion is a theory, right? It's called Ojas becoming Tejas, meaning liquid becomes fire, and fire becomes Prana, this Prana, Amrita Prana. So you're basically controlling the semen liquids to become fire, and then the fire converts into this Amrita Bindu, right? But for a woman, the eternal fire is lit already, because she is the mother, she is the womb. Even if she has no children, it doesn't matter. The egg is there, the creative fire is built in. So therefore you are already a living Shakti. But you can convert that also to Amrita Bindu. And there is a theory that the male-female union can create that with a breath. That's a part of Tantra, right? And it's a particular breathing that creates a circular breathing of prana, breath, while the woman sits on the man and the circular breathing occurs. And the woman does Khechari to the man in the back of the throat. So it's a continuous circuit being created. Right? This is Tantra that has been misunderstood and misused, right? And that's where the sexual part comes from. So the Vajrayana school that uses very similar yoga and very similar Tantra uses the sexual thing also in its practices. Right? Then there were other traditions that were challenging the norms, so they went, Kapalika and Aghori and all those came from that, right? So yoga took off in different directions, right? Buddha was a yogi, right? Yoga was big by the time Buddha was around. 600 BC, yoga was big. Everybody was doing it. It was a technique to get to the higher states of consciousness. Buddha was supposed to be one of the greatest yogis that ever lived. The first time it gets written down as a yoga was Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, which was around 2nd century, 1st century BC. But then properly written 2nd century AD. And today what we think of as yoga was written by Gorakshanath and the Nath Sampradaya, and it's called Hatha Yoga Pradipika. And that is what most yoga practices are in the West and in the thing. Then you have different schools like Kundalini Yoga and other schools, right? Kundalini also was never a yoga, it was a Tantra. Meaning it was an inner awakening of the goddess. You could use yoga to do it, but it was never called a yoga. But Vivekananda does refer to it as a Kundalini Yoga, as a way of... So yoga in that sense would be a process, like a Kriya, to awaken, Good?